Welcome back, everybody, to another movie chest. This movie I'm talking about my cousin Vinny. No, that was
What
not did that impression not
Vinny
land.
Gay?
I was trying to be Ralph Macchio there, but
No, it was pretty close.
I don't know. It was pretty funny hearing that like 10 minutes into the movie, the title. But yeah, my cousin Vinny. It's been a long time coming for me. I've like this is a movie I've just like heard about my whole life and
Yeah.
never kind of like really known like what it was or like I know Joe Pesci was in it or whatever, obviously, but yeah, it's kind of just like a weird one that I needed to see. I don't know what you guys felt about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a toned down Joe Pesci, and he's like not necessarily toned down, but he's compared to all his other gangster shit that he does,
Yeah.
very toned down.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I was like expect again, it's Pesci and like Vinny. So I was like, oh, this is part of a mob, part of his mob
Yeah.
filmography or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. Him and Marisa Tomei, I think, really like
Oh,
they're
she was the
together.
highlight of the movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
They had good chemistry, I thought, like there's
Even though they're 20 years difference between the two of them, but
Yeah, it's
Really?
crazy.
yeah,
I think this is the youngest I've ever seen Marisa Tomei in any role.
yeah.
Um,
And like a
yeah.
fine wine, she's aged perfectly,
Yeah.
She was looking fine in this movie, though. Oh my goodness.
very much.
Yeah, she was wearing that like the one scene she's got like that
The
floral bodysuit.
Yeah.
I was like,
just for one scene, just to
Not to make me
please all the
laugh.
dudes in the audience.
Yeah,
yeah, right,
Absolutely, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was, she had her outfits were all is
Oh,
is
yeah.
on fleek still a term? Is that I don't
Yeah,
know.
it might
sure.
be.
Can I whip that one out still?
Yeah.
Yeah. But just like some background info, I guess it was written by Dale Launer, who wrote Clue. I don't know if you guys have seen the 1985 Clue.
have not.
I love that
It's a-
movie.
it's a great- yeah.
So
Hilarious.
Whole Nine Yards too, kind of like a later comedy. It's pretty good if you've seen it.
When was this? I'm pretty sure this was '92, right? This one came out.
92.
And then I was getting like mad Weekend at Bernie vibes too, kind of for some reason. I don't know why. It's because it's like these kids caught up in a harrowing
Yeah.
situation, but it's
Wh-
still like you kind of know it's gonna end up okay.
When
the
was
end.
Weekend at Bernie's? You know, is that 80s, late 80s?
I looked that up. It was '89. Yeah.
89?
It's funny. It's funny
Yeah.
you say that. I was watching it, and my mother-in-law walked by, and she's like, "Oh, well, if you like this movie, you should watch Weekend at Bernie's."
Hmm.
No
Like,
shit. Yeah.
It's funny.
Okay.
The guy who wrote this or directed this did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels too, Jonathan Lynn. But yeah, I felt like to the point of that maybe they like saw Weekend Bernie's success because like this felt like almost an exercise to like make a movie with Joe Pesci and Ralph Macchio. Like
Yeah.
like a writer like sat down with those two people in mind and was like, what are we gonna do with these two guys? You know, and like
Yeah. Right.
and like that's kind of what it felt like to me. So maybe they probably did take a couple pages like from those types of movies. It feels very
Oh, I'm
90s,
sure.
obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a lot of levity. The soundtrack, like being fucking like convicted of murder, and then like you see and Pesci's rolling up in his convertible with like some bopping music. Like it's like you kind like I said, you kind of know I think what's gonna the arc of everything, but
Yeah.
it didn't like keep it from being engaging.
Yeah. It
So-
was just a fun, entertaining,
Yeah.
like, courtroom drama-ish comedy thing where I don't know. Like you said, I kind of you can call the points because they really lay it out for you. Where she talks all this technical stuff, gets all Joe Pesci all fired up, and you're like, okay, that's gonna come back in the future. And
Yeah.
in the courtroom, obviously it does. Or the tires getting stuck in the mud. You're like, okay, this is gonna come up, or else why would they focus on one spinning, one not spinning, things like that. But
The
it was
grits.
fun. I mean, I was there for the ride, so
Yeah.
the grits even like
grits.
20
yeah,
minutes
the
of the
grits.
But-
As soon as he said 5 minutes, and he said I had grits and stuff, and I was like, oh, those take 20 minutes, buddy. Nice try.
The laws of physics cease to exist.
Yeah,
on
the
your
script
stone.
was like well packaged. To me, it had the bones of like a hardcore comedy. And then
Yeah.
like early on, to me, I kind of felt like they were like finding their footing on the tone of what this one would be. Like you kind of had to like get a scene with Pesci and Macchio together, kind of just to see like how it bounced, a little bit.
Yeah.
So it felt like it was like meant to be more of a comedy, but it kind of like pushed itself into like not a drama, obviously, but like just a little more self-serious, I guess. Like Joe Pesci, it's very cartoony at times. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like Joe Pesci is like he's playing it very seriously, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I feel like him and Mona Lisa's relationship is like very, like, kind of raw, and you know, it's clearly like a complicated relationship. They have their own weird love language or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
The fights they get into, and you know, that kind of thing.
I was
And then it all
surprised
comes
they
to
actually they had good chemistry. Like when she stepped out of the car, I was like, oh yeah. First off, I was like, nice. And then second off, I was like, how's this gonna work? Joe Pesci and her, and then it kind of worked out. So I'm like, I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised. You know.
Yeah, I did have a moment there early on. I was like, man, I don't know if like when you just kind of are introduced to the characters, my cousin Vinny, like right after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's like kind of what you're saying is like these two are just kind of like it seems a little ham-fisted, but then it unfolds really nicely over the film.
It does, yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's the perfect situation for those two too, where she's like, I've been waiting 10 years to get married because he's got to win his first case or whatever, and it's like, okay, I could see this, you know,
Yeah,
this long drawn out
yeah,
situation for him.
Process for him.
It just worked, you know.
Mhm.
Good characters, those two.
There's like shit giving back and forth between
Yeah.
them, you know, which was great. Like
Yeah.
constantly having to move motels, and then you know, her being all upset about him hunting and shit like
Yeah.
that. And,
yeah. I guess I enjoyed this movie. I don't think I enjoyed it maybe as much as you guys did. And it might have just been like I wasn't feeling it as much, but I don't know. It was a little bit like I don't want to say boring because like I'd hate to say anything is like boring because it's like not boring, but I think I just was struggling with like the tone, or maybe they didn't fully know. I don't know. Maybe also like a big problem I had was like when it became cartoony, a lot of the stuff didn't make any sense. And the main problem I had was like, how is Joe Pesci a fucking lawyer, dude? Like that man is such like the ineptitude is like a bridge that can't be
Everything that guy just says is bullshit.
crossed, I would say.
Yes.
Like
sneaking through half the court case.
yeah.
Like,
and Marisa Tomei's character like knows more about the law than he does.
Yeah.
Like she knows that the documents have to be sent, and he doesn't even know that. He's like finessing them for the documents and shit. And
That moment where all he has to say is innocent or not innocent, or guilty or not guilty.
guilty.
I was cringing the whole time. It's like, come on, man, just you know what you need to say. You don't.
Right.
What are you doing here?
yeah.
But
That to me is like they really wanted to put a goofball into the role of
Yeah.
the how did this guy become a, and then you got Joe Pesci who's gonna be like, well fuck you, man, like
yeah.
and it's like you got to find like the balance there of finding like the dumbness of this guy and the he can obviously perform at his job if he knows what he's doing, but he's got to learn
Yeah.
it first, even though he should know how to be a basic lawyer.
especially after what 10 years,
Yeah,
6 years practicing for the bar and then law school before that. I mean,
right.
I don't know. I see what you're saying though. It was first off, the pacing was a little sloggy at times, but overall, I mean, I just enjoyed. It was just like one of those movies you can turn on and kind of shut your brain off. You know, at some things.
Yeah, it did have a lot of like funny moments.
You hear him Monday? Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
All right. I'll talk to you after. Okay.
But yeah, there was a lot of funny moments that like I had to mark because like I laughed out loud a few times.
I did too. Yeah.
One was like during a classic Pesci explosion scene. I mean, that's where I was like, they must have.
Piling shit up onto the case scene. Like, what else can we pile?
And he's like giant loud whistles, like
Yeah.
that phrasing.
Slaughtered
like, made me laugh
pigs,
a lot.
giant
And
loud
I mean, they
whistles.
made it work because obviously they can't sleep. They're fish out of water in the southern context or whatever, and constantly being woken up by giant loud shit. And so that landed for me, and it was like pretty soon after that. I think my favorite moment as far as comedy, maybe not my favorite, but it was just funny, like writing or pacing. He's like they're like making out in the back of his car or whatever, and he's like, I don't see no stars, and then like the next cut it's like lightning and rain. I don't know, it's just like fun pacing. But to me the most enjoyable like comedic part of this movie was the public defender and like his sputtering.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And
Yeah.
like he goes and sits down, and then he's like, I'm just nervous, man. I get nervous. Like, I'm doing better though. I'm doing
Yeah,
better.
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
And like the way he's like trying to play is like, hey, what are those guys' colors eyes over there? Can you tell me? He's like brown and hazel green. He's like, oh, that guy's good. Like,
How
tough
cookie that
cookie.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was reaping a lot of rewards for me.
My favorite line was after the whole thunderstorm, and he gets in there. He's like, "And the only place here you can buy a suit, they all caught the flu. The entire store caught the flu."
Yeah.
Except that the only store you could buy a new
I don't know
suit
why, but
in
that tickled
has
me
got
pretty
the
good
flu.
because the sign
You
says
get that?
closed
The
for
whole
flu or
store got the
whatever.
flu.
Yeah. So basic.
Yeah.
Small town, only like one employee, you know. So.
Right. I also thought it was a pretty fun running gag through the whole movie that he just is always like going to prison every night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just
The-
like
The one night he gets a good night's sleep.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
just loud as fuck in prison. He's sleeping like a baby. But
Yeah.
that was just fun. Like after a while, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna stay." Just
Hang on, we
became-
have a guest appearance real quick.
Oh my goodness! What a little cutie.
Them cheeks.
Yeah. It's like, what you guys doing in here?
Come see you. Hey, buddy, look at that. Oh, God, he's getting fat. We gotta get you on a treadmill.
Yeah, man. Start him early.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Conditioning.
Hey, buddy.
How old is
Oh
he?
my goodness gracious!
He's almost 3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, man. You're looking good.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's cool. I actually have a visitor too. Let me go get him. He's coming.
Yeah. Tie it all up.
Yeah, we all need somebody.
Sorry.
no,
What
yeah,
were we
you're good.
saying?
I don't know. Oh, the running gag on him going to prison every night. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, there are a couple good. I like. I wish there was a little bit more of it later on, but like, them getting caught for like, not like the like knowledge gap, I guess, between characters, like causing trouble.
Mm.
Like them knowing, like thinking it's the tuna can they're confessing to.
Yeah. That was a good
What's his
moment right
name?
there.
Not knowing it's Vinny at first, like coming into the jail,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
You should be on your fucking knees.
Yeah, dude, like all those innuendos was like, oh man, it's getting worse and worse. Yeah,
Yeah. That one went on
That's
so
it.
long, but it all made it all tracked.
right, which surprised me. And but that's like you don't get, like you said, maybe it was like pacing, or it didn't know what kind of tone it was nailing, but you don't get much more of that after that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's just ups and downs throughout all of it.
Yeah, to me, I
very
think
enjoyable.
like seeing this in a theater in '92 probably. I mean, obviously it was way different, but I think this is like a movie that was more in its time. This is like at the height of like Joe Pesci, like right after right before Goodfellas. No, right after Goodfellas. Yeah, right after Goodfellas and Home Alone, and then Macchio's like right off Karate Kid movies.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think it's like an experiment to put them together. But I can also see why this one, it's like they're trying to do. It's got those powerhouses and they're at their height, and it's trying to do like culture shock in the '90s type of like. These guys are these people are from the city. They're hip. They don't like butter, like that shit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so it kind of feels like maybe it was better then. But for me personally, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel that.
I can see that. It just
Definitely
felt
of its
like
time or more.
when you watch it at this point in time too, it's kind of like, oh, I've seen this quite a few times. This
Yeah.
type of,
Yeah.
like I said, it was very predictable, but
Mhm.
it was
It
enjoyable
turns
enough to
into
where
like
it
a
bothered me.
courtroom.
Yeah.
It turns into a courtroom drama,
Right.
in some regard. And I was like, I was kind of enticed by the mystery of it at first when they finally got into the court case, and then it kind
Yeah.
of just like fades away to just like hijinks of Pesci doing his shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of fell into some of those tropes of the court genre a little bit, even though it's like a reaction to a lot of what I would assume in the '90s like court drama shit was.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a lot of the jokes are not going to land if you don't know what like lawyers are supposed to be doing, because
Yeah.
like obviously Pesci's doing the opposite of all that stuff. So I don't know. I think it was a reaction in the '90s to probably like Law and Order and shit too. Was Law and Order in the '90s?
Yeah.
I think it was.
It probably started up in the
fucking
90s.
forever.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I could definitely see that.
So yeah, it's like the subversion of that, but then it kind of
Yeah.
does it, So I don't know.
Mhm.
And then I mean, the car knowledge for Mona Lisa coming back at the end, well done. I mean that it all was there. Everything, a lot of stuff tracks through this whole movie, which is nice. Like all the like recurring gags and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The dude that's like trying to fight him and shit.
Yeah,
Just like ends up doing like a weird side tackle on him.
yeah.
Like,
It's like
I don't
a
understand. It
jumping
made
punch.
the punching noise, but I didn't see him land a punch. I just
It
saw
was
him
like he like punched like this, just jumping at
did
him.
he? Okay.
Yeah,
It looked
that's
like he
what it
just like
looked like.
threw himself at the dude.
Yeah.
I guess when you're 5'3", that's the tactic. To
Yeah,
go
you
for.
just gotta hop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the car stuff, it was fun. I was like, yeah, all right, cool, it's coming around. And then it was almost like I was in a lecture for
Yeah.
like car information. I was like, well,
Yeah, reading a manual or something.
yeah.
Like,
I was like, okay, okay. Like, it felt like I was
I
at
just-
work, like dealing
Yeah.
with cars and shit. But,
No normal person, I think, can remember that much about a car. No matter how long you've spent with a car,
Yeah.
like that specific information. It's kind of like I grew up with car people, like,
Mm.
and I'm still around car people, and I don't think they could even mention those things. They're probably just
read
like,
off specs
Yeah.
and years
Yeah.
for years of car. Yeah, it's like
it's
okay,
a little
yeah.
too much for me, but.
yeah,
And then, I mean, the case gets dismissed kind of a little too easily for me, too. That's just a little
that-
resolved.
that was one thing me and Sarah discussed. We're like, is that how it works? Yeah, just kind of just
Yeah,
let's
this
leave.
hard-ass judge who was, like,
Yeah.
dogging him the whole case was finally just like, yeah, dismissed, you know?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Fuck it. It felt a little too easy. I also kind of felt at the end of this movie that, like, Ralph Macchio didn't really have much to do in this movie. Like, he was kind of just
No.
there.
Neither of the boys had anything to do. I was gonna mention that how it. I mean, it was clearly Joe Pesci's movie, but like.
Mhm.
I don't know, those two weren't compelling enough to where I was like, yeah, you need to win this case. Like, yeah, they mentioned the death penalty, but it
Yeah,
was too dark of a theme for the themes that they were going for in
Yeah.
terms of comedic. So,
Yeah, you can't go too dark on it.
right.
would have been
so-
nice. Like they could have, yeah, if they'd thrown in a couple more scenes of them in jail and like make some weird,
Yeah.
whatever the jail hijinks or crazy situations you get in.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he, like, literally had nothing to say at the end, even, to Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
That kind of struck me. I was like, yeah, because
Underused. I just felt
Mhm.
that, especially at that last scene. I mean, maybe they're trying to play it like he's just so emotional you can't, nothing's coming out.
yeah,
Didn't land that
Yeah.
way, but like,
Pesci's response was like the only response you could have to it. Find the words.
yeah,
you
you'll
get
get
back to
find
me.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, right, like,
So I mean,
So.
that's obviously scripted, or he just forgot all his lines and Joe Pesci rolled with it. I don't know. But I just felt like I need a little more from him, especially now because Cobra Kai season 5's airing. I don't know if you guys watched that show. So I'm getting a little taste of Macchio there, and I just want a little more of his early shit.
I think that's fair. Fair criticism.
That's, I
There's
mean,
a lot to love.
that's all I got in the movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I don't think I'd really watch this one again. Maybe, like you said, toss it on, but I don't think I'm gonna sit and watch it. It'd probably just be like a background kind of.
Yeah. I think it was about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah.
So, like you said, if I had cable and it came on, I wouldn't like immediately turn off of it. I could have it on in the background.
That's fair.
Joe Pesci's entertaining enough to where I could like walk by and see the highlight moments,
Yeah.
Right. Totally.
where him and Tomei, is that her last name?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, she carried the movie for me. I think the boys were really, like you said, misused in a way. I think the guy Barry from Friends, I don't know his real name.
Is that
I
the
don't know why
other
he's in it.
friend?
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, I don't know, miscast there. I didn't like him at all. He's just kind of annoying. But yeah, other than that, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was fun.
Nice.
Good pick. Good movie chest. One of the better ones, probably, right? Out of the movie chest.
Yeah.
Out of the ones we picked, yeah, I'd say it's one of the better.
It's pretty good, yeah. It's one of the iconic ones too. Like I think this was one that a lot of people probably did watch on TV when it was on. Like it's that
I'm
it
sure.
is that kind of movie now that you said that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen My Cousin Vinny, let us know what you think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you have, but I don't know. That's why I like doing the movie chest because I feel like a lot of people nowadays probably haven't seen this movie.
yeah, that's a thing too. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there that's already out there,
Mhm.
and all these new stuff that are flooding the small screens is kind of just overwhelming.
Mhm.
And there's
Yeah.
just good stuff you can go back to and actually
Yeah.
really enjoy and actually feel that love of movie making that used to be there. That's not it's harder to find these days, I guess is what I'm saying. So,
Definitely. No. Very well put. Like it's easy to get lost in the shuffle
yeah.
of all that shit today. So it is, definitely worth like taking a look at some of these things.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which is what's nice about the movie chest. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see you with the next one, the next pick. Join us then.
Yep.
Stay gold.
In the meantime,
There you go.